Brian Frame is looking to get rid of the play bar and create custom navigation buttons. And Brian, I'm really happy to hear that because I never use the play bar in any of my projects unless I'm just debugging something or testing it somehow. Because the play bar allows for a little too much freedom to the learner. Yes, you can, of course, go to the play bar options and turn off things like in the skin editor. I can say I don't want to have the progress bar and I don't want to have the fast forward. You can really customize that, and that's actually not a bad way to go. But if you really don't want the play bar at all, you just want to turn it off, then you need to do it a little bit differently. So if you don't have a play bar, you have to give the learner another way of going from one slide to the next, for instance. And if you don't, it's just going to go automatically from one slide to the next, and then you might as well just have a video because it's just going to go flowing from one to the next. If you have interactions on any slide, it will stop and wait for the learner to do it, but then again, it's going to proceed along and go to the next slide automatically. If you find that you really do need to give the learner some abilities, let's go back to our slide here. I'm going to get rid of that one because it's kind of ugly. And what you want to do then is to go ahead and create your own smart shapes buttons that will allow you to jump from one slide to the next, etc. Now, I'm not a big fan of next and back, but it seems to be one of those necessary evils at times. The trick is if I put a button, for instance, a smart shape button on this slide here. Let's go ahead and just use a regular old rectangle. And I'm not going to make it fancy, I'm sorry, but because I am not going to be, I'm not really a great artist or anything like that, I really can't make it too fancy, but the nice thing about smart shapes is that you can, in fact, change their fills to gradients and make those gradients really cool, looking, so I can, do something nice or something really crazy like that. And I can also come here and choose an image to insert there and choose my own image to insert, so that if I take an image, this one here, those images from before, but it's okay, it will sort of serve the purpose. If I do that, it's going to show part of the image in there. I can come back here and say I don't want to tile it, and then it sort of stretches it in there. And if I don't want to stretch it, it will just show part of the image. So all that to say, you can do quite a bit with smart shapes. I'm just going to go back to making this a solid fill with the word next in there, but of course you can make the color a little nicer there. Okay, so how do I make sure that this is a button now that the learner can click and go to the next slide? To do that, well, first of all, you have to make it a button. So this is a smart shape, and to make it a button, you have to click on Use as Button. The only exceptions to those are these down here, which are already set to be buttons, but any other smart shape you create, including your own freeform polygon shape, if you want it to be a button, you click on Use as Button over here. Once you do that, this action category will suddenly appear. It wasn't there before, now it is. Click it off, and the action category will go away. Click it back on, it will come back again. And you remember that actions are what allow you to react to what the learner is doing, in this case, clicking the next button, to go and do something with it, like go to the next slide. Okay, so that's right up here. In fact, that's the default for any interaction, or most interactions, smart shapes and buttons certainly. That's the default one, but you can change it, of course. So for that one, if I put it on the slide here, now that's a functioning next button. I can put that on a really nice background and a little nice panel, whatever, but the point of this is that's all you really have to do to create a next button of your own. And if I were to run this, it will play. I'll prove it really fast by just playing it, and then when I hit the next button, you'll see it's going to go to Cassie's slides from before. So at this point, hit next, and it
click on each button to learn more about a topic. Once complete, click the Finish button.
So at this point, we would have to, of course, have a back button here or some other way of getting back to it. I'll demonstrate to you for just a moment, but I just want to point out that if you heard it, there was a click sound. That's something that really bugs me, but some people don't get bugged by it. Let's go ahead and show you that. The next button here, disable click sound is something I always check. So I click on that, and I also click on the hand cursor so the learner knows when they move over it, it's going to turn into a hand, and also that click sound doesn't happen. Well, again, it's just a pet peeve of mine. So having done that now, if we wanted to have a back button as well, for instance, I could come over to this slide here, and this is in a group now. come to this one here and add a similar button. Now the trick there is I'm just going to copy this one. So I'll copy it to the clipboard, and then I'm going to paste it onto the second slide here. So I'll just paste it now. And all I have to do at this point is to do two things with this. I'm going to need to, hello, where are you? Smart Shape went at the bottom, so I'll put it up at the top. What I'm going to do here is to change the word to back, and then change this to say go to the previous slide. Go to the previous slide. So now I have my back button there as well, and it's going to go to the previous slide. If I put it back over here, I can then copy this one again and paste it. I could have just done it a little simpler, but that's okay. And now I'll have both buttons there, next and back. So if I now were to run this, I should see that they both will work. So I'm just going to, again, HTML5 in browser. I like to test it in the browser because then I'm absolutely sure. So now if I hit next,
click on each button to learn more about a topic. Once complete,
back, notice that you don't hear the click sound anymore. And because I copied it, that first one, that's why you don't hear the click sound, and you see the hand. Next, back, next, etc. Allows us to go backwards and forwards, okay? So that's one example of using next and back. However, notice that I did have to copy, in essence, those onto each slide. There are a couple of ways you can avoid that. One of them would be to come back to the button up here, the next button, and when you choose it, to choose under the timing option to say rest of project. Well, that means that now it's always going to be up there in the rest of project, but also notice that when you do that, you want to make sure this place object on top is checked unless you don't care that it's being hidden in some cases. So if I do that, and then I get rid of the next button that's here on this slide, okay, notice that this one is kind of up. So if I want to standardize it, I want to make sure it's in the right place. So in this case, I'll probably just move it back down here, and I can finesse it to where it's going to be lined up pretty well. But there's the trick right there is, you want to make sure that it's going to be in a stable place. All right, having done that then, this button will now stay on the screen from this point on. So when I hit preview and then project again, or in HTML5 in browser, we can test this and make sure it works. Hit next.
Click on each button.
Next is still working. There's the next button still, but we reached the end of our file, so it doesn't go anywhere. So that's one way to do it. It's not necessarily my favorite way, though, because notice that, first of all, it doesn't go away. Okay, you can erase it through an advanced action or a hide option, but the truth is that there is a better way to do this, and that is to put these on your master slides. Now, master slides are those that, of course, you can use to make each slide look the way you want by using a pattern, depending on whether it's a title slide or a question slide, whatever. You can set up master slides for every kind of slide that you have. If I go to the master slide area, then here I'll see that I have, in essence, this is called the white theme. That's the one that is chosen under themes. And this one here is the title, this one here is the blank. If I go to the blank one, for instance, and on this slide I place my next button again, this time I'll place it where I want it. And this one then I would call this, this one right here, I would call this not just blank, but maybe next only. Okay? Then I will copy or duplicate this slide twice. Once and then twice. And on this slide here, I will call, well, on the first slide, I will call this one back only. And I will change this. I'm just going to nudge it over a little bit using the shift arrow keys. And change this again to back and then go to the previous slide. So back on this one, and this one needs to go to the previous slide, like so. And then on the final one over here, we're going to want to have both. So this one, copy, and I'm going to paste it on this one here, so that now they're right next to each other, and they both should be working correctly. This one goes to previous, this one goes to next, and this one I will call this one, instead of next only, this will be next and back, like so. So now I have 3 slides that are all pretty well empty. I could, of course, put backgrounds or whatever else I want on them, but when I go back to my film strip now, I can delete the buttons I already had placed there before. So get rid of these, and go to this one, get rid of these as well, and then come over here and get rid of that one. So all of the buttons that we placed on individual slides are gone now. And what we want to do is to come to each of these and choose the correct master slide. Notice over here in the properties for each of these slides is the master slide option. So I'm going to choose now for the first slide to have a next only. And there's our button for next only. Come to this one here, and I'm going to choose to have next and back. And then on the third one, I will just have the back only, because this is the last slide. And so what we want to make sure is that the back only is showing up. Now notice in this case that the back button didn't show up. Why? I'm using the correct master slide, because this option down here isn't set on the slide. Master slide objects on top. When you click that, the back button will appear, because otherwise it's going to be hidden. And I can show you that if I turn this off again. When I move this aside, you'll see it is there, but it was being hidden by the big image on top of it. So what you want to do is make sure that the slide properties is set so that master slide properties or master slide objects are on top. Now, besides next and back, of course, you have many other buttons that you probably want to have in there, such as the table of contents and others. But guess what? There are actions for all of those. So if I come down here, I can see that there are actions for showing and hiding table of contents, and then also buttons for changing or changing the audio, muting it, etc. There's all sorts of options in here, and by playing with these, you can create all your own sets of buttons as well. I hope that helped, and we're going to go on now to the next question.